problems in the United States maybe is similar to Taipei. This is in the 70s, 80s. We were in UC Berkeley, and UC Berkeley is called a radical school. You know, demonstration against the war, student activism. So this is basically a response of the problems in the States. I guess we are still architecture students, but when we graduate, we made this nonprofit organization called Asian Neighborhood Design. This drawing is basically our neighborhood, and we all, try to build our neighborhood together. Right? This is the community. So the thing that we were thinking to help the poor, the neighborhood, is based on this volunteerism. It's volunteers from the university, volunteers from the community. I have to give you a little background. The elderly in the States, they used to live by themselves. The family doesn't care. So here we are, taking care of the elderly. And they live in a room like this big, called residential hotels. And a lot of these residential hotels are dilapidated. So they live a little bit like in the slum, but in the United States slum. We combine construction training. This is high school dropouts, and they are fixing the rooms of the elderly. So the key of all this is actually integration, because they live in one little room like this. When we go into their house, and their bed is all full of plastic and newspapers and all that stuff. So we're trying to clean them up so they can live in a normal way. We build beds that you can fold, like that, because dining room, we sell them for cheap. The reason we sell them for cheap is so they feel the ownership of this furniture. So they have their heart in the furniture. So after we fix this, we also do services. We do community gardens. On the roof, we have solar panels. We also have roof gardening. That's in the 70s. And in the building, we have a lot of other programs. Community training, food program. The other services that we do, we expand, is community planning. We do training for the refugee Vietnamese. This is from the Vietnam War. They go to the States. They don't know the language. They don't, we have to give them skills so they can work and live as a regular citizen in the United States. This is a model that an NGO, non-profit organization, we end up setting up a profit center. This profit center is doing business, is doing profit, making money, building condominiums, hotels. Sometimes they also work for the government to do public housing. But in the States, when you do public housing, you also make money, so it's quite nice. But all this money will go back to the services to the community, because we are a non-profit organization. We cannot bring the money in our pocket. Okay, we go to another world. And when you talk about housing for the poor or low-cost housing or all that, the poor are just like this, really poor. I mean, they live in a cardboard. They don't rain that much in Mexico, so if they use cardboard, it's fine, as long as they don't get heat stroke. And this is also student activism. So it's participatory planning. This is participatory building. And we also use a lot of local building materials to make it cheap. This is a beer can. Mexico like to drink beer. And this is the plant that is much found in Mexico, and we use that as rebar. This book is very good for people in the URO. It's not really a novel. I mean, it is a skill for you to talk to the community so you can do participatory architecture or planning, because this book is talking about citywide all the way to the details. Why is the door there? Why is the window there? And it's all based on psychology and culture and all that. I'm not sure whether any of you read this book, and I heard this book is a classical book, but it will make you feel confident, as a community architect talking to the people. Because you know what to say. Why is the reason doing this and doing that? So this is a good book. This is in Bali, where I live. And Bali is not poor. Bali is a tourist spot. We call this Eco Sanur. Eco is from ecology. Sanur is the area that we were. This is not a government project. This is civil society, volunteer. So the way we start with this community on participatory planning is we gather a lot of the representative in the community. So for example, in the community there is we call it the indigenous Balinese, because there's also the newcomers Balinese. So they are not Balinese, but they are from Java, from whatever. And there's also the foreigners, the expats who lives there, so they're part of the community. What we did is actually we have a big hotel, and they're all there. We are flashing all problems in the screen about garbage, about dogs, about traffic jam, and then we give them 3 pieces of paper, and we ask them, what is your 3 priority or the biggest problem in your neighborhood, and what is the solution for those 3? And then we put it in the board. So we go blah blah blah, and then suddenly we found out garbage is the biggest. So this is an easy way to identify together. And how we do it is we let the priest to be the first speaker, to lead. I mean, the reason is because there's a lot of corruption, and when they do this, they probably need money or they want money from the government. So this is to tell them, you have to talk with your heart. So that's why we have the priest in the front. The first step is we have a feeling about what the community felt is the worst problems in Sanur. So then from there, we make a questionnaire. But this questionnaire is action-oriented questionnaire. For example, they talk about garbage, so we have meetings, and we said, let's figure out the solution, because they also mentioned about solution. So the questionnaire will be something like this. How about we solve the garbage through composting or separation of plastic and blah, blah, blah. Then the question is, where are we going to put this depot? Or how much are you willing to pay if this is happening? How much do you want to participate in this? So there is action-oriented questionnaire. There is about maybe 10 issues. This is the questionnaire. And then we do a lot of door-to-door. In this case, we have a class of 4 different universities all over Indonesia. There's also people from Japan, from Germany. They also participate. And then they go door-to-door. The reason we go door-to-door is then we don't miss people. Then we know the feeling of people. Because a lot of people, they don't know what is composting, they don't know. So when we sit down in front of them in their house, then we can also explain, maybe that is a good idea instead of other solutions. Participatory is a lot of meetings. So the government doesn't like meetings. They just want to give the money, build, whatever, and then just go. But this is a lot of meetings. This is with the priest, this is with the mayor, this is with the fishermen. We actually have a meeting like a whole bunch of different stakeholders, and we set up in tables. Each table we will have representative of the government, the NGO, the community, so they talk. We force them to talk. And then we go by interest. The garbage, bicycle, dog, and whoever is interested, they go to that table, and then they present what is in the table. And then we also have a map, aspiration map. This is based on many meetings. We make a map, all the problems in the whole places, and we give this to the mayor. And it's important, instead of only meeting, we have to also throw actions, right? Something real. If not, they get bored. So some of the action is clean beach. The next project is mangrove cleaning. This is all the participants. Restaurants, hotels, doctor association, they all go clean up the beach. We've been cleaning beach and mangrove and all that, but we want to do a system of how we solve the garbage. Garbage is the main problem that they felt. So we are thinking about a whole system instead of cleaning the beach every month. One of the systems is actually a lot of the garbage comes from the river. So people throw garbage to the river. That's their culture. So we have this special fence. In real terms, it doesn't work because there's too much garbage. So the fence actually end up flooding the neighborhood. This is a depot, our first depot of getting garbage, and we sorted out. I want to talk a little bit about lead generation. Actually, is the generation. We are old. We want to see the younger people to continue this movement. I cannot promise anything, or we cannot promise anything, because you don't make money from this. But in this case, community facilitators are not only architects or planners. They are also sociologists, anthropologists, economists, lawyers. We have classes on community participation and building for lawyers. I think lawyers are important. But this is only to show, like all these different movements to the youth. This is actually with the high school students, we're teaching planning, but participatory planning. This is Architecture Association. We try to work. If you want to become an architect, you have to go to help the poor. In Mexico, you cannot graduate if you don't help the poor. Indonesia still can become an architect without knowing that there is poverty in Indonesia. But this is Indonesia. Most of the part of Indonesia is a little bit like this. But this only tell, this is the city and this is the players. The rich, the bank, the federal government, developers, and this is the poor. Our role is to help the poor to be part of living in the city. Samples, slums, they don't own the land. They steal the land. They live in because they want to work. So this is only one project, 4 hectares in Central District. This is also slum, community participation. From slum to this is another slum, 300 hectares, flooding. We don't give them the fish, we give them the fish pond. So we give them the tool to make blocks. They can build this, this is community bathroom, build house, build road, from slum to houses. This is garbage, biogas, and they make jobs.